Okay, everyone. So I will get started now. So hello, I'm Dr. Laura Fogg-Rogers from the University of the West of England, Bristol, and we're running the Initiative for Digital Engineering, Technology and Innovation, that's DETI, and the Diversity Demonstrator, of which Women Like Me forms a part, and we're part of Bristol Technology Festival. So just to start us off by walking us around Blackboard, for people who haven't used this before, this slide just tells you a bit about how it works. So if you're struggling to see the slides at the top left, you can zoom in for your own slides there. If you want to chat to us, there's a purple panel down at the bottom. If you click out those arrows, it pops out the panel and you can use that to chat messages to us. So if you're going along and you have questions, please do answer them in there. We can either answer them as we go along, or as we get towards the end of the webinar, we will have a question and answer session and possibly breakout rooms as well for us to talk to. So do ask us questions as you go along using the chat button. And you can obviously follow and share all our work on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So please do message us and share afterwards as well. Okay. So I'm going to get started then. So the format of the webinar, we've got about 40 minutes of talking from myself and Sarah Behenna from WISE, that's Women in Science and Engineering. And then we will open the floor for questions and chat for people to meet each other. So as I say, the Initiative for Digital Engineering, Technology and Innovation is a new initiative launched by the West of England Combined Authority. And it's a wider engineering project, but a large aspect of it is thinking about skills, and in particular for us, inspiring the next generation of engineers. So bringing people into our thriving engineering industry in the West of England. And it's a composition of all these different companies coming together, so a consortia of bringing skills and engineering expertise for digital engineering, bringing all our regional universities and these companies as well. There are 3 strands to the DETI project. So thinking about enabling capabilities, how can we have digital engineering for the future? But also the proof of concept, so showing that this does work. And then finally, interesting for us is skills. So we form part of the skills strand of work, thinking about both skills for our current workforce, but also the future workforce, which of course Women Like Me ties hugely into. So this thinking about skills, we have inspire, so our future generations of engineers. And of course, for us in this webinar, we're thinking about girls into engineering in particular. We then think about transforming the educational landscape, so how that crossover from school and into engineering industry of some form, and all the different ways that that can happen, so from further higher education, apprentices, etc. And then innovate as well, so thinking about the current engineering workforce and how we can better support you. And for us on this webinar, it's women who are in the workforce already, and we would love you to stay there. So we were thinking about how we can support women in engineering. And this inspire strand that I'm talking about is made up of all these various aspects of activity. So if you're interested in all our wider work, then you can contact myself or Anna Bristow, who set this webinar up. And we're thinking about mapping what's already out there, the outreach that's already there, supporting it more by helping kind of all the various and variety of activities that happen in the West of England. And supporting that as well, thinking about diversity in all its forms, so Black, Asian, minority, ethnic engineers as well, socioeconomic status, so thinking about widening participation and neurodiversity, and then obviously gender or sex balance as well, so thinking about women into engineering as well. And we're thinking about that right from primary up through secondary, into further higher education and the workforce as a whole. So all aspects are connected, as we know. Okay. So in this webinar, we're going to have a think about how we can do that, how we can support girls and women in engineering. And a key concept, I think, is science capital, which is this idea of what helps you to have sort of cultural capital within science. So what helps you to feel connected, valued, that science is for you, and science in its widest form being science, technology, engineering and maths, STEM. So Science Capital is about what you know, how you think, what you do, but also who you know. And that's the key thing that we're trying to influence by showing a huge variety of people working in engineering, and that therefore all different types of people can participate in engineering. And so for us, that's about role modeling. It's about showing that people like me, whoever me or you are, can do this. So that's why it's women like me. So a huge variety of women are in engineering, and therefore, hopefully, girls will see someone who's like them who are part of this as well. So it's about both showing that girls can do this, girls and women, but also seeing girls and women doing this as well. That's the vicarious experience. So watching others who are more experienced than you and thinking, if they can do it, I can do it too. So getting that self-efficacy to go into engineering and stay in engineering. And to do that, it's about changing social norms. So making it be normal and totally perfectly fine and enjoyable being a girl or woman in engineering. And we've done that over the past few years through lots of exciting events like this. So hands-on events where children can take part in engineering activities, and where we can have that, lots of women in a room together and having that buzz, that energy, that support that you can get, that hearing stories like yours and thinking, yes, other people experience this too. This is for me. Obviously, it's all different at the moment with COVID, and that's why we're here doing this digital webinar, where we're hoping to replicate that for you, so thinking about that social peer group support as well. But we're also going to be talking later on about some of the ways that we can still do outreach, albeit digitally, and we'll be telling you how that can happen. So our project, we ran Women Like Me from 2018 to 2020, and we're relaunching this year as part of DETI, the Initiative for Digital Engineering, Technology and Innovation. So far, we have worked with 45 senior women and 45 junior women. So they have a mentoring relationship where they support each other through the mentoring process. So thinking about how we can stay in engineering, what would help us thrive in our engineering careers. And then the junior women have gone out to schools to do outreach activities with school children. And as I say, at the moment, this year's round is going to be digital outreach in engineering, but there's still plenty of activities that can happen and take place for that. And if you're interested in more about kind of what's happened here, what we've done, what we've published a series of reports and journal articles which detail the success of the scheme and the impact it's had on girls and women. You can go and read more about that. But suffice it for me to say that it has been successful. The women have really enjoyed it. The school children have really enjoyed it. And that's why we're here again for our third round of the activity. So this year, I'll be giving more examples that you can take part in, but our big event this week is Bristol Technology Festival, and we've been doing Like to Be videos. So is kind of like LinkedIn for kids, and it's a way that they can still get digital activities and role model things, career support and advice. And you'll see that we've got huge diversity of voices, people who've been taking part in this, and so hopefully encouraging young people into engineering careers. So if you're interested in that, I'll be talking about that later, or you can email us thinking about taking part as well. But thinking about the mentoring aspect of our work as well, retention. It's really, you can't have a diversity of voices and a diversity of people working with children if those people do not stay in the industry. So keeping people in the engineering industry is just as important as recruiting girls in. And that's why we focus so much on mentoring as well. So a major study in the field here from America, 2,800 women in engineering asking, why did you leave? And the key issue is kind of that workplace culture. So both thinking about promotion and being recognised and so on, just that feeling of like, oh, this isn't for me, it's not right, I'm not feeling comfortable here. So we need to make our workplaces comfortable, supportive, inclusive for people to stay. Now, one of the ways in Bristol, you may have heard of the Women in Business Charter. So this is a fantastic initiative thinking about business in general, but they have a set of concordats, if you like, the charter, thinking about the different things that businesses can do to make women feel supported in their careers and to support more women to progress in their careers as well. And so we have linked and supported them in their work. But in particular, UE Bristol and therefore Betty have just signed up to the WISE 10 steps as well, Women in Science and Engineering, 10 steps towards actually supporting women in the workplace and helping them to progress in their careers. And we have from WISE, Sarah Behenna with us, and she is going to be talking us through more of this to tell us what are these 10 steps and how do they support and help us. So Sarah, are you there to walk us through this?
I am. My internet is a bit dodgy. One sec while I get the video on because I had to reconnect. I think it's coming on.
Yep, we can see and hear you now, so take it
Can
away.
you? Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you for that. And sorry if it's just out or anything. Send me a message if I do, so I'm not just rambling on to myself. So I'm Sarah. I'm from WISE, which is Women in Science Engineering, and I'll be briefly introducing to you the 10 Steps program, which, as Laura said, we have just, which is our program for women to help increase gender parity at that level. And then after that, I'll also be talking about My Skills, My Life, which is WISE's outreach program for girls. So who are WISE then? Just a brief intro. Also, WISE is a membership organisation that provides business-to-business networking and services to cross-sector employers, so completely across the sector, all educators and training providers. So it's not businesses, it is academic institutions such as UE as well. So WISE, it has been around for almost 40 years now, promoting women in STEM. It's industry leader in diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Currently has just over 180 corporate and academic members and over 16,000 affiliate members. Absolutely massive. And the aim is to increase the number of girls and women in a STEM career. So just move on. Are the slides moving on or not?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, there's definitely a lag in my internet. Apologies about that. Okay, so obviously morally it's right to have, gender parity and have diversity of all kinds across, the sector and stuff. And obviously we're not there yet either. We do have very low numbers of female engineers, especially in business. But as with anything with business, it's just the moral thing that gets things done. It's the bottom line, it's the financial side of it as well. So we always like to put across the business case for diversity as well. So I won't go through all the details of the graph things on you, but it's just to show you that generally, if you have better gender diversity within your business, that will give you a better choice of skilled workers to choose from, a better platform for innovation and creativity because you've got more diversity of thought that helps the decision making to be better. So it gives you better productivity, it gives you better customer experience, and ultimately all this will lead to your financial performance being better. So that's the bottom line. So say morally it's the right thing to do, but what makes the world go round? Sadly, it's money often. So it's good to put across the business case as well. So that's what we always like to show as well. Okay, so I'm just going to very briefly today introduce to you the WISE 10 steps. It is a 4-hour workshop, so I'm not going to go through all that today. I'm just going to do about 5 or so minutes on introducing what the 10 steps are, and then I'll do about 10 minutes or so talking to you about what outreach program we have, which is My Skills, My Life. So if I can, I'd like to show a video first to introduce to you the 10 steps before I go through a few of its main points for you.
The WISE 10 Steps is a framework to help you improve the recruitment, retention and progression of women in your organisation. They set out a series of practical measures to ensure you fully benefit from the potential of women in science, technology and engineering. There's structured support and advice, and you'll be able to learn from the experience of other companies. The 10 steps will show you how to remove barriers that stand in the way of real equality of opportunity. They'll help you create a genuinely inclusive culture, for each of the 10 steps is designed to drive company performance, leading to better productivity and even profitability. Many organisations are already taking some of these steps. Some are tackling all of them, but even for those most ahead, there's always more to be done. More ways to maximise the contribution women make to the business. So don't be left behind. Join many high-profile companies in becoming a 10-step signatory. There are resources to help you with all the 10 steps on the WISE website.
Okay, so you've seen the introductory video to the WISE 10. That is our programme to show recruitment, retention and promotion of women within business. So we're onto the history of 10 steps slide now, yeah? Okay. Sorry, it's all a bit up on here, isn't it? Right, I'll leave it. Okay, so the history of the 10 steps, as I said, is the leading programme that we have for our businesses. I know you just signed up this week to become a 10 step. And the history of this came about is back in 2014. Leading business leaders came together to say, how can we actually have a programme? So we've been working on gender diversity for a very long time, but we actually need like a structured programme for how to tackle this, where we have real metrics and can see the improvements and have a really detailed plan on how to improve your diversity over the year. So a coordinated framework was created then with the employers back and with WISE working on this and looking at the research base to create these 10 steps programmes. And it starts off where ultimately you have a diagnostic, understand your starting point. So what is to understand your start, because if you don't have that, obviously work out where you need to improve. And the key thing we found that people liked about the 10 steps was that, unlike other programmes like the National Audit Programme, that progress can be made at your organisation's own pace. So it's not trying to do everything at once. This is a massive problem we're working on for decades. We know you can't solve everything instantly. Just trying to work out what are the priorities for your business, and that's where the diagnostic comes in. Just go to the next slide. It'll pop up.
Yeah, I think it's coming through quickly for us, Sarah, maybe not for you. So if you perhaps keep talking
And
about
big
each
lag
slide,
for
we
me.
are
Okay,
seeing
yeah.
them. Yeah, yeah.
You are, is it? Okay, brilliant. Okay. To take part, you have to be a signatory, so you have to sign up to a say, which is Yui has just done. And by doing that, you're saying that you are making a public commitment to improving conditions for women working in STEM. You into practical action. Because lots of places say, yes, this is lovely, we want to improve our diversity, but it's how you act that. So then you become for gender equality and encouraging others then in the wider industry to do the same. And it's all about sharing best practice and participating in this annual survey, which then you use year in, year out and compare with others within the signatory network then to help yourself improve. Just go next slide. And then there's the board.
We are seeing it, Sarah, so if you could keep talking.
I just can't remember which slide is the next one because I rejigged them a
this
bit
is
before
the
I
10 steps diagnostic, so talking about yeah, how companies can do this.
Right, thanks. If you just tell me every time I go through that, might be easier. Okay, yes, so this is the diagnostic that you start off with, but you'll also redo this every year then. It's quite comprehensive for you to work in your first year, what is your starting, and then afterwards for you to be best from that. And I know the next slide is an example of the results that you can. So you can see where your business is really well and where perhaps it needs to improve more overall as well. And we try to make this simple by keeping it within core areas, but obviously there's lots of detail that gets broken down into one of those areas. Is it moving on the slides?
We've got here example results, and we just went through a workshop slide as well.
Okay, so if it's on the workshop now? Sorry, is it on the workshop?
Yes, it's on the workshop now, yeah.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so once you've done your initial diagnostic, you then get a 4-hour workshop. Otherwise, we'll go through your diagnostic with you. Because the first year you do it, you get your results of like where you're strongest, where you're weakest, but you don't know how to make that into a plan to improve your diversity. So what you'll get at the end of those 4 hours is WISE will create a personalised plan where it'll have some short you can do to get some really good results within 3 months or so from the plan. Longer, medium term actions, and then the longer term actions you need to do within a year or so. And every year, once you've redone your diagnostic data and your annual measurements, you will get a new plan then of how you can keep tackling your diversity to keep improving it year on year. As we say, it's not something to do in one go. It's trying to build up the bits that you want to focus on and increase it by bit all through the years. Okay, just go on to the next slide. Which one is it now?
So this is each step. Talk in detail through each step.
Yeah. Okay. So that's on there. So some of the examples then of the plan that we've been making then for others. So we don't just make the plan just for yours. We also compare it to your competitors then within, who are also 10-step signatories within the same sector as you. So if say you're Rolls-Royce and you've got GE as well, you can see how a similar sector to you has improved the gender diversity within their business as well. And we can also put you in touch with them to have networking opportunities, as well as the annual Measuring Progress event, which we get people together after you've all done your diagnostic, so you can network. It's so you can see how others are improving gender diversity, so you can also get some good networking opportunities from there to see best practice from others. All right, next slide. Sorry, this isn't obviously flowing as well as I want.
So this is the evidence of success, Sarah. So once you're through the wise steps, I could take over then and talk about our outreach work. But yeah, so this is the evidence of success slide.
There you go. So this is the last one then for the 10 steps. So the evidence of success. So over the last 4 years, every company has showed an improvement in their annual measurement. On average, most companies have improved over the 4 years by about 30%. So, and that is their self-assessment. That's not us measuring it, and obviously because we do a vested interest for results. It is their actual assessment themselves to see how gender diversity has improved in their business. So I'd just like to show you that it does have a real effect, and we are trying to make this improve better and better. Right, I think that's it for the 10. I won't show any more thing, and I think I better leave the My Skills Map bit for you to quickly talk. You can always share the slides afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
So bad.
Don't worry there. So while I'm just going to think about outreach next, but before I move on to that, for the people who've joined slightly later, if you look at the purple arrows on the right hand side of the panel, that is where all your controls are for Blackboard Collaborate, and there is a chat button there that shows it's where you can basically ask us questions. So please do questions in there as I'm taking us through our next steps, thinking about outreach, and then we will go to breakout rooms for you to meet each other as well. So do ask questions of Sarah, thinking about the Wise 10 Steps and their program of work called My Skills, My Life as well. But right now, I'm just going to talk us through some outreach opportunities that you can still take part in, even though it's digital and virtual. So as well as Wise's My Skills, My Life, you can, which is here on the screen, that is an online personality quiz for 11 to 19-year-olds. So it's thinking about the types of that young people think that they are, and what career in STEM could work for them. So you can get young people to do this, or you can work with Sarah to actually do this in your company with or with groups of young people to train them in the various types of careers. And again, thinking about role modelling, I know Wise has found a variety of people who meet these personality profiles and have careers that meet that. For instance, my personality type is a communicator, few, because that's my job. So I'm a great role model for that. I hope I am anyway. So then thinking about this kind of thing as well as a digital role model. We also have Like to Be that I mentioned earlier. So that's a fantastic place where you can, it's like LinkedIn, so it works the same way. You put up a profile about yourself, you say what you do, you can have videos on there, which of course are more appealing to young people, and then you can actually chat safely with young people as well. So it's basically an online careers fair, which is really useful in these times. And then one of our linked projects as well is building to break barriers. So this uses digital engineering, i.e. Minecraft, in order to get children to think through their activities and ideas and be able to put these out to people as well. So model and create their own virtual creations, which we are looking for engineers to take part in to mentor young people. You don't have to know how to use Minecraft, you have to know how engineering itself works. So please do get in touch if you would like to take part in that project as well. So we also work with several large-scale projects. Some are national. So the primary engineer runs nationally. We'll be having a new round of that opening in the near future as well. So that's, again, getting children to have a go at being engineering, going through that engineering design process and actually creating things. And as part of that, we also have the Leaders Award competition, which is where children are asked, if you were an engineer, what would you do? So they get to come up with their own creations. And interestingly, therefore, the gender balance in that, in the Leaders Award, is 50-50, which is amazing, as we all know, as women working in engineering. And that's because you get to pick a top or an idea that appeals to you. So, a lot of things focus around our local environment or home or helping people and so on. So a really fantastic activity to take part in there. We're currently working with My Future, My Choice, who also run educational workshops, and we're looking at a digital top trumps game where different engineering careers are shared and traded against each other, featuring real life people. So that's another activity that we are putting out, which you could either use or participate in. And then we have the Great Science Share for Schools, which is an activity where young people are just taught to question. So it's engaging in that curiosity and creativity skills to get people involved in that. So that activity runs in June, but children in schools are asked to work up to that by coming up with their own questions and ideas. So through working with STEM ambassadors, which is another massive activity that we work with, many of you will probably be STEM ambassadors as well. We get people into schools to take part in this and thinking about those questioning abilities. And then we're also linking with the Association for Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers, so thinking about intersectionality here between being a woman, but also being from Black, Asian, minority groups as well. And both supporting young people in schools, similar to women like me, but also thinking about mentoring of people in the industry. So that may appeal to you if that intersectionality is where you are as well. And then coming up, we have I'm an Engineer, Get Me Out of Here. You may have heard of that, well, you've definitely heard of the ITV version featuring celebrities. But this is a similar one featuring engineers. Don't worry, you won't have to eat kind of slugs or worms and things. But this is an online thing where engineers have to pitch their careers and what they do and so on. And you'll ask lots of questions, and then they vote for the person who they think communicated the best about their work. So we will be doing something with them to get on 2021, particularly working up to COP, the climate conference in November 2021. So really thinking about how engineering can help with sustainability. And finally on here, I've got Future Quest, which is a network that works with widening participation schools. And they have a campaign called I Am First Gen. So if you are the first in your family to go to university or higher education, go on into a professional career, they would like to hear from you. They want to hear those stories of success, which again is about role modeling to people to really help them to see a future for them, see someone who's like them and who they can take part with. Okay, so that is the end of our speaking part of the webinar. But normally when we launch our events, one of the key things that is useful to people is to meet other people like you as well. And so we are hoping here to take questions in our chat and then to put you into breakout groups to meet other women. So firstly, has anyone got any questions? You can either turn your mic on or you can type into the chat box with some questions about either mentoring for women, the WISE 10 steps and how you can help support that in your company, or the digital outreach opportunities and what you can take part in. please do type into the chat or turn on your mic and speak to me. If not, what I will do is I will put us into breakout groups. So speak now or forever hold peace. No, no one's chatting. So in the breakout groups, what I would ask you to do is to please talk to each other and to ideally turn on your videos. If you look down at the bottom, you've got your controls there for mic, video and hand up. And could you just say who you are, where you're from, what company, and what have you previously been involved in Women Like Me? And if not, what would you like to do in our next round going forward? No one has asked the question, so here we go. You're going to go in and we will pop into the rooms with you at some point soon.